Loopy Mabel Vintage Style Crochet. My name is Jane, and in today's video tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these easy crochet granny stitched wrist warmers. Really simple. You can use all your scrap yarns. If you're fairly new to crochet, they're perfect for you too. Nothing too daunting or too complicated. So if you'd like to follow me along in the tutorial, you'll need a 4.5mm hook and some yarn, and let's crochet. Right, so to make the granny stitch wrist warmers, today's tutorial I'm going to be using the same yarn here in the same colours, obviously to make the other hand, because I've only just made that one. So I'm using the drop sleemer, which is one of my favourite yarns I like to work with. I love this yarn because 50g balls, but it's got a touch of alpaca in it, so it's 65% wool and 35% alpaca, and I just love that rich wool feel to it, and perfect for the wrist warmers. So I've already got some wool that I've wound into little balls, so I'm going to be using them. We're also going to be using a 4.5mm hook, scissors obviously, and stitch markers if it helps you to find the end of each row. So they are useful to use, especially if you're quite new to crochet. It's best to mark the beginning of your row, so when you do come to the end you're not wondering where the end is or was, or making mistakes. So I'll use these stitch markers in the tutorial just to give you an idea of where to place them, and hopefully help you when you're crocheting. Right, so let's begin. I've actually got 3 sizes in the PDF pattern, so you can make them for small, medium or large hands. So there should be a size there that's suitable for you, but I will put all the measurements for the sizes of the hands in that PDF pattern. But for the purpose of this tutorial, obviously I'm going to make the other side hand to fit my hand, which is small. And we're going to start off with chaining 33. So I'm going to start off with the grey. And you can see the yarn's quite curly because I have pulled this out of another tutorial project that I wasn't very happy with. So obviously I'm reusing the yarn, so that's why it's a little bit curly. I hate wasting yarn. So you make your slip knot, whichever way you're comfortable with. If you're not sure how to make one, I do have a tutorial on how to make the slip knot. And as I say, we're going to chain 33. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 31, 32 and 33, and we're going to slip stitch into the very first chain. So if you just make sure that your chain stitch is not twisted just by running your finger along, and you know it hasn't twisted, and we're just going to insert our hook into that very first chain that we made. And slip stitch. So insert our hook in, so chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, and insert yarn over, insert our hook into that very same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and that's your first half treble. And we're just going to insert our stitch marker into that stitch there, so we'll know when we come to the end where to insert our hook. Now if you can get into the habit of doing this, at least if you're a beginner crochet, it does really help you to find out where that stitch is when you're coming to the end of your row. So if you're watching this from the US, I am going to be working throughout in the UK terms, so when I say treble it will be double crochet, or half treble, it would be half double crochet in the US. So we're just going to insert our hook into the next chain there, and I'm going to be working over that tail to save me sewing it in later. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, half treble. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, half treble. So we're going to continue like this with a half treble all the way along. So I've just got a few more to do for the end of this row. So just half treble. And there's where our first stitch is. So you can see how helpful having the stitch marker is, because you know it can be difficult to see where your first stitch was started, so we can see straight away where we're going to insert our hook to do our slip stitch. So we now know where to insert our hook. So if we just insert your hook there, yarn over, pull through and slip stitch that closed. So there's our first row completed, like so. I just need to trim that off. So it's really simple. So we're going to continue exactly the same as the first row. So we're going to do chain one, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to go into that very same stitch with a half treble again. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and insert our stitch marker. And we're just going to work all the way around doing half trebles in all 33 stitches, and we should have 33 stitches throughout this tutorial. There's no increases or decreases at all, so it's really simple to do. So half trebles all the way along to the end, and we're going to slip stitch like we did on the first row, and we're going to continue with half trebles all the way until we've done a total of 8 rows. So 8 rows in total. So if you want to pause the video and work 8 rows of half trebles, I shall see you somewhere towards the end of this last row, and then we'll go from there on to this section here. So I'm just on to the last part of the 8th row. So I've just got a few more half trebles to do. And that's where our stitch marker is, so we know that's where to insert our hook. So we'll just take that stitch marker out, and I'll just show you, just keep hold of it there. I'll just show you, if you didn't have, and you were new to crochet and you didn't have a stitch marker in, when you come to this section towards the end, it can be quite a bit confusing as to where to insert your hook. Would it be in there? Would it be in there? or there. So that is the reason why I recommend putting a stitch marker in, especially if you're just learning and you're new to crochet. So we know that's where our hook's going to go, so insert your hook and we're just going to slip stitch it closed. Now because of changing colour here, you can either tie it off and insert your new colour, or what I'm going to do is put my hook back through like so. I'm just going to snip my yarn around about here, and then I'm going to go on to the antique white shade, and I'm just going to pull that yarn through to the slip stitch close, and that completes that row and it leaves that nice and neat there. And I'm just going to take my two ends and just secure with a little knot, and then we're ready to work on our next colour, and all the ends obviously will be stitched in when we've completed this project. So, and we're going to now be working the granny stitches, which these are the granny stitches. So if you're not familiar what the granny stitch is, it consists of 3 trebles together and skip a number of stitches, then 3 trebles, and that's what the granny stitch is. So we're going to start off with 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, and that 3 chain counts as our first treble. So we're going to go down into that very same stitch that we came out of, yarn over, insert our hook and do 2 more trebles, 1 and 2, and we're going to skip 2, so 1, 2, insert our hook into the next one, so skip 2, 1, 2, insert our hook and work 3 trebles, so 1, 2, 3, and we're going to skip 2 more and do 3 more trebles. So we're going to work like this all the way along, skip 2 and then 3 trebles into the next. So skip 2, 3 trebles. Let's keep going, working 3 trebles, skip 2 and then 3 more trebles. So just work all the way along, skip 2, 3 trebles into the same next space, skip 2, 3 trebles into the next space, all the way along. Really is simple, that's all that is, granny stitches. There we go, this should be our last 3 trebles. And we're left with 2 left, so obviously we're going to skip the 2, brings us to our first set of trebles, and don't forget that 3 chain that we did at the beginning classes our first treble, so we just need to locate the 3rd chain, so 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into that 3rd chain, and we're going to change colours. So I'm just going to snip my yarn and insert this lovely pink, bring that through, slip stitch it through, and I'm just going to make a little knot again with the 2 colours. And now we're ready to move on with the pink, and now we're from every row now we're going to be working in the spaces, the chain spaces all the way along now. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and the chain 3 classes as a treble, and it does throughout this tutorial. and then we're going to insert our hook into this space and do 2 more trebles. 1 and 2. So that is our first cluster. Move into the next space, so yarn over and work the 3 trebles. And then into the next, and you just work all the way along again, doing exactly the same. 3 trebles into every space, and then when you get to the end of the row, you're going to slip stitch to the top of that 3 chain that you did first of all. So just come to the last one now. And we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that 3 chain again. So 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into that 3rd chain. And we're going to go back now to the grey. So just going to snip that yarn, bring the grey in. So, and just locate the 2 ends. So the end we've just finished, and the grey. So now we're onto the grey, so we're just going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and 2 more trebles back down into that space. Now if it helps you to use a stitch marker like we were doing for the cuff section, you just want to insert your stitch marker into the 3 chain. So you just locate your 3 chains that you've made. So 1, 2, 3, insert your marker there, and that will then help you when you're coming around to the other side where to insert your hook if you're not sure where your 3 chain was. So that these stitch markers are brilliant just purposely for that, to mark where your stitch began and where you're going to finish off. We're just going to do the same thing Here's trouble. My cat just walked in, shot there. Apologies. So we're just going to 3 trebles in every space. So that is the formula for the next few rows. So if you're okay to continue on yourself, so we're going to be working in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello Toffee. 11 rows of the granny stitch. So 11 rows of the granny stitch, alternating your colours as you go, and I shall see you somewhere towards the end of this last granny row, and I'll show you how to finish off with this lovely wavy trim edging to finish off the wrist warmer. So I shall see you somewhere round about the end of that last row. 11 rows. So I've just got one more 3 treble cluster to go. I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that 3 chain that we started with. Our next colour is the grey, so I'm going to pick up the grey attach the grey. Like so, and just quickly just tie it to secure, and obviously I'm going to sew in all the ends when it's complete. And we're going to now work on this lovely scalloped edge trim, which I just think, I mean, you could stop here and leave it plain, but I like this edging which just finishes it off. So we're just going to do one row of double crochet, which is single crochet in the US, and pick up all the stitches, all 33 stitches. So we're just going to chain one, which doesn't count as a stitch, and insert our hook into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through and double crochet, and just insert into the top of our stitches. So we're not going into the spaces anymore, we're going to go into the stitches at the top and work double crochet. So you should still have 33. Work all the way along with double crochet. So we're now at the end, so we're just going to slip stitch into the top of that double crochet, not the chain one, the double crochet that we did. So insert your hook and slip stitch. So chain 3, and we do 2 more trebles into that same stitch. So 1 and 2. So that chain 3 classes as a treble, and then we've got 2 more, so that's 3 trebles in total. Then we're going to skip 1, and we're going to go down into the next and do a double crochet, skip 1, go down into the next and work 3 trebles. So 1, 2, 3, skip 1, double crochet into the next, skip 1, and then 3 trebles into the next, all the way around. So all we're doing is making a pretty edge, scalloped shaped edge to the wrist warmer. Really simple. So just skip 1, work 3 into the next, skip 1 and double crochet into the next, skip 1, double crochet, 3 double crochets into the next, I'm just coming to the end now, so I'll just finish off 3 trebles, skip 1, double crochet into the next, skip 1, and we're back to the beginning. So we're just going to slip stitch into the top of that 3 treble that we did at the beginning, I'm just going to trim the yarn. And just pull it through to secure. And that's our pretty scalloped edging. It just finishes it off. Obviously I need to sew in the ends, like so. And just quickly show you. And that's how simple it is. And that's how simple it is to make these very pretty but very practical wrist warmers. Make a great accessory to your winter outfits, and they also make really good quick gift giving ideas and brilliant for using up your scraps of yarn that you've got hanging around in your wool baskets. And it's also really simple. If you're fairly new to crochet, this is a really good project to start with. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial on how to make these granny stitch wrist warmers. Really simple. I hope you managed to follow along okay. Perfect for you if you're new to crochet, because all it involves is the half treble and the treble stitch, and you can use all your scrapped yarns and you can make them in no time at all. Make brilliant gift giving ideas, perfect for wearing with your outfits in the winter. Lovely accessory, so you can mix and match to whatever you're wearing, use different coloured yarns, and I just think they're just a perfect quick little crochet project. So if you did enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And don't forget, it's only crochet. If you go wrong, just pull it out and start again. I will also have the PDF pattern if you like to print off the paper pattern, so you can follow along with that too if you prefer. And in the PDF pattern I will also be including how to resize the wrist warmer for small, medium and large size hands too. But as I always say, practice does make perfect, and until the next time, please take care and happy crochet.